Here's my review of Poor Things. I I thought this movie was fantastic, and I think it's probably my second favorite movie of the year, next to Killers of the Flower Moon. And I just think that this movie it was just so creative and unique, where it's a different version of the story of Frankenstein, where in this version, a woman named Bella Baxter is brought back to life by Godwin Baxter, who's played excellently by Willem Dafoe. I mean, Willem Dafoe is great in everything, and it's no different here. And it just makes me think, like, whenever I see him in a role, I'm just like, how has he not won an Oscar yet? It just bothers me and it's very interesting because this whole story, I kind of feel like a lot of it is us. We're learning about Bella as Bella is quickly maturing, as she has the brain of like a baby, and we're seeing her kind of grow throughout the movie, and it's just a very interesting movie. And I just love the visuals. It's just so creative. Like you see the creatures that Godwin produces, like that he makes, whether it's like the goat with the duck head or the chicken with the English bulldog head, and it allows for this whole world to just feel so much more grand. And I think that this movie really just has a perfect amount of everything from like the horror, the dark body horror from these creatures to even like when they show them transplanting the brain into Bella, and it's a very interesting movie. And just main spoilers here. I was gonna say it. Spoilers right here. The actual brain, like the infant brain, is from when Bella died. She was pregnant, and then they used the infant brain to put it in Bella, and that's why she has like the IQ of basically a baby. And it's just very, very interesting because we're seeing how this movie, in many ways, it kind of reminds me of Barbie, as it definitely kind of more like at least in terms of the messaging, it's more feminist in a way of how we're seeing Bella kind of like adjusted to this world. And it's just very interesting to see. And I do think that when you have so many great actors and actresses in this movie, I think that when someone is bad, or not even bad, like Mark Ruffalo's performance, I mean, he's just sometimes like he kind of comes across as like mediocre acting. Like I don't want to say it's bad, but when you're comparing it to the likes of Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone, it just comes off across as just not nearly as good. But this movie is very interesting as there's a lot of like different we're exploring it, and it kind of almost feels very quick paced. This is quite a long movie. It's around, I believe, 2.5 hours, or maybe it's 2:20, but it's like a little long. But it goes by very rapidly as you're seeing all these different creatures, and that was really my only complaint with this movie. Like I loved this movie, and my only complaint is I thought there was a lot of uniqueness that I just wish we got to see more. And a lot of this is like a lot of this narration is through the eyes of Godwin, who Bella calls God, which is very interesting because I mean she is like in a way his God, who's like he created her. It's very interesting because we're seeing her progress, and he's noting down how at first she just acts like a baby and like a small child, and then she progressively kind of gets more mature. But it's very interesting because another way this movie feels very weird, which I love the whole weird like aspect, is a lot of it is sometimes where she has the brain almost of a child and she's maturing, but then she almost at a certain point like hits puberty, so then she's discovering her like sexual desires, which is very weird, but in the same time it feels like perfectly natural. It's just weird of the way she acts because it's like she's describing it in like a way like a child would, so it comes across as very weird and unique, but it allowed for like it to be more comedic because of that. I mean, Emma Stone's performance is just great in this. I would not be surprised if she got best actress, even though personally I would give it to Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, but I would say that she's easily a number like runner up, but I really wouldn't be that upset if she got it as well, because it's just very interesting. Like I said, this is very akin to Barbie in the way of how she's quickly learning about the world in almost this male-centric society. And it's interesting because in Mark Ruffalo's character, he's kind of almost using her because she's like so dumb, basically. So it's very interesting. In visual, I think that this movie just has so much creativity, like the gorgeous skies, and you just see these like machines, like these flying like why am I blanking what they're called? Like blimps and stuff. Like they're just so gorgeous in all of like the beautiful sunsets. And there we do like see pictures like or scenes from the actual surgery itself, like where he transplanted the brain into her. And it's just like I mean, of course, this is very, very Frankenstein, and I mean that really played into the horror elements because this movie has a perfect balance of horror, drama, and comedy that just all blend together so well, and it's great. And like I said, I mean, Willem Dafoe, I mean, he's one of those actors. He's just so good in everything he is, and he has this charisma, and like, he's almost like per any role he's in, it literally feels like no matter what he gets, is like, yeah, I couldn't imagine a better actor who fits that. Like him being basically Victor Frankenstein. I mean, at least his version of Godwin Baxter. It's very interesting. And a lot of also this movie, sometimes we're seeing it through the eyes. We're seeing it through the eyes of Godwin's assistant, Max. And we're seeing all these just weird, weird creatures. And it allows for us, the audience, like to just, we're entering this world that is just so weird and unique. But somehow, when we're seeing it through the eyes of like who's supposed to be like more of a normal character, it just kind of works. And I just, like I said, like the visuals are just so unique, and we're seeing like of Bella's interactions with the world and seeing all these creative creatures is just so gorgeous. And along with the music and score, it just kind of gives you both a sense of creepy and eeriness, as well as a sense of wonder, which fits perfectly with us seeing the wonder that Bella sees, but also just the eeriness of all the horrific surgeries and creatures that are around this world. And it's just great. In a lot of this movie, it's like sometimes it's Bella who runs off with Mark Ruffalo's character, and how Mark Ruffalo is basically just trying to use her, and because she doesn't understand the concept for money, at a certain point, like she throws away his money. There's just a lot of like little conflicts there, and like one of the dancing scenes is just incredible. It just allows for this movie to be even more charming and Bella's character to just be more interesting. It's just great. And I mean, a lot of this movie though is like a lot of this movie is Bella kind of like discovering like herself and like her sexuality. It's very interesting. Like she kind of almost becomes addicted in a way. So it's a very interesting kind of like concept. It makes it really weird and uncomfortable, but for the movie, it's completely necessary for this movie. And it makes it more realistic, especially when you consider this movie's clearly Frankenstein. I mean, Frankenstein's monster, one of the main desires he wanted is he felt love and he felt lonely. And it very well fits into this movie just in a more, I guess, graphic and explicit way. And visually, this movie is just gorgeous with all these different. It's very interesting where Bella sees like these poor colonies and how Mark Ruffalo's character said like how you can't do anything about it, and then she tries to like donate the money. And it's very interesting because it just allows for us to see like some of like the cruelties of this world through the eyes of what is essentially a child and how she is maturing over time. And it's just very, very just a beautiful story, and I just thought it was just amazing. So, I mean, everything from like the horrific, beautiful, but yet beautiful creatures and visuals, especially with the animals. I mean, and then you got Willem Dafoe, is just incredible. I really don't have any major complaints with this movie, and I would probably say that it's my second favorite movie of the year next to Killers of the Flower Moon. So yeah, I think that this movie was incredible, and it, like I said, it balances everything, I think, perfectly, from the beautiful like drama of this woman kind of just discovering the world, as well as have the comedy because of that. And then it also has the absurdist body horror because, I mean, this is like a Frankenstein story. And you do see like, whether it's like the animals, like with the pig head on the chicken, and you get the beautiful horror, but as well as just like, just seeing this, like this beautiful story and just seeing it through the eyes of almost like, because she's like so childlike, it's almost like this, just blind positivity that is just so charming, as well as though it does turn into, as she grows and matures throughout the movie, negativity, or not necessarily negativity, but just more like realism. I just thought this was a beautiful film, and I mean, it ends on such a great note as well, of almost her becoming herself, because, like I said, this movie is very, very similar to Barbie, except like a little bit darker, but I mean, this was fantastic. I think this is the second best movie of the year next to Killers of the Flower Moon. And yeah, I thought it was fantastic.